What if I told you that deep in a South African mine, there are perfectly crafted metal spheres that are 2.8 billion years old? That ancient Egyptian tombs contain blueprints for what looks like a giant electric light bulb. Mainstream science has dismissed these discoveries as tricks of nature or outright hoaxes. But the evidence is piling up, and it points to a chilling conclusion. Our history is wrong. We're not just looking at old artifacts, we're uncovering the ghosts of a forgotten, technologically advanced past, starting with an object that simply should not exist. The spark plug in the stone. In February of 1961, 3 rock collectors were searching for geodes in the mountains of California. They found a promising specimen, but when they cut it open, they didn't find the sparkling crystals they expected. Sealed inside the rock was something impossible, a perfectly formed piece of modern machinery. The object, known as the Khoso artifact, was a paradox captured in stone. The outer layer was a hardened shell of clay, pebbles, and fossil fragments. Inside lay the geode, and at its center was an object that looked for all the world like a spark plug. It had a metal core, a ceramic insulator, and a hexagonal casing that suggested it was once turned by a wrench. A geologist who examined the specimen stated the rock encasing the object would have taken around 500,000 years to form. 500,000 years. The discovery was baffling. A modern, manufactured item locked inside a 500,000-year-old stone. The immediate conclusion was a hoax, but the finders swore it was genuine and subjected the artifact to X-rays. The images only deepened the mystery, confirming a complex internal structure with a metal core, an insulator, and even a tiny spring at one end, just like a modern spark plug. The object was real, and it was sealed deep inside the stone. News of the discovery spread, capturing public fascination. Theories ranged from a lost civilization to ancient alien visitors, or even a time traveler. Skeptics suggested it wasn't a geode, but a concretion, a rapid formation of minerals that had encased a modern spark plug from a mining operation. But this couldn't explain the advanced decay of the outer layers. For a few years, the Khoso artifact was displayed at the Eastern California Museum, a tangible piece of the impossible. An offer of $25,000 was made for further study. Then, around 1969, the artifact vanished. All that remains are the photographs, the X-rays, and the conflicting stories. Was it a simple geological anomaly, or was it a piece of a forgotten timeline, a secret so profound it had to be scrubbed from the record? With the artifact gone, we may never know. But as impossible as an ancient spark plug seems, our next artifact is far, far older. The 3-billion-year-old riddle deep. In the mines of South Africa, strange metallic spheres have been pulled from the earth for decades. On their own, they're a curiosity. But the rock they're found in is Precambrian, a deposit dated to an astonishing 2.8 billion years old. This fact transforms them into an impossible riddle. The Klerksdorp spheres range from 1 to 4 inches in diameter. They are typically reddish-brown, with a fibrous internal structure and a remarkably hard shell. Some are almost perfectly spherical, others flattened like a discus. Their most baffling feature is the presence of fine parallel grooves running around their equators. Many have a single groove, some have 2 or even 3, all perfectly parallel and seemingly carved with precision. They look, for all the world, like they were manufactured. The mainstream geological explanation is that the spheres are natural phenomena known as concretions, where minerals harden around a nucleus. The grooves, scientists argue, are simply the result of natural sedimentary layering. In this view, the spheres are a beautiful but entirely natural trick of geology. But this explanation fails to satisfy those who have examined them. Their balance is reportedly perfect, and the precision of the grooves seems to defy a natural origin. Natural concretions are rarely so symmetrical, and almost never feature such distinct, parallel lines. The objects feel artificial, as if turned on a lathe. They feel like they were made by someone. This is where the story moves into a profound historical paradox. 2.8 billion years ago, life on Earth was just beginning, comprised of only microscopic, single-celled organisms. There were no animals, no complex plants, and certainly no intelligent beings with the technology to craft perfectly grooved metal spheres. To suggest these are manufactured artifacts is to suggest an intelligent civilization existed on this planet billions of years before the first dinosaur, a civilization completely erased from the fossil record. This idea is so paradigm-shattering, it has been almost entirely buried. The spheres sit quietly in the local Klerksdorp Museum, dismissed by the wider scientific community as a solved case. The Klerksdorp spheres present us with a choice: accept them as a curious trick of geology, or face the staggering implication that our planet's history may contain chapters we never knew existed. Are these just stones, or are they the last relics of a civilization that rose and fell billions of years before humanity ever began? An intelligence that existed billions of years ago is almost impossible to comprehend. But what about a technology from just 2,000 years ago that rivals our own? What happens when a machine from the modern world shows up in the ancient one? The Ghost in the Machine. In 1901, a crew of Greek sponge divers stumbled upon an ancient Roman shipwreck. Amongst the scattered marble statues, they recovered a corroded lump of bronze, a discovery so insignificant it was almost thrown away. They had no idea they were holding a piece of technology that would rewrite the history of science. For the next 50 years, the object sat in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, a forgotten curiosity. It was a calcified, rock-like mass, dismissed as a remnant of a statue. Its true nature was buried under layers of corrosion and modern disbelief. The world wasn't ready to accept what was inside, because according to our timeline, it was impossible. The object was a ghost, a machine that shouldn't exist for another millennium and a half. Then, in the 1950s, a historian began a decades-long investigation. As he and others studied the fragments with sophisticated imaging, the truth began to emerge. X-rays peeled back the layers of time, revealing a shocking interior. The bronze shell concealed a breathtakingly complex system of over 30 interlocking, precision-engineered gears. It was a clockwork of the cosmos, an analog computer built by ancient Greeks around 100 B.C. The device was a miracle of miniaturization, a technology European clockmakers wouldn't develop for another 1,500 years. When a handle was turned, the entire universe, as the Greeks knew it, was set in motion. Dials on its face tracked the position of the Sun, the Moon, and the 5 known planets. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses with pinpoint accuracy. It even had a dial that tracked the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. The Antikythera mechanism is not just an ancient artifact, it is a machine from a forgotten future. It proves ancient engineers possessed a level of mechanical and astronomical knowledge thought to be a product of the Renaissance. This single surviving device raises a profound question. If this one object survived by sheer chance, what other marvels of ancient engineering were created? What vast libraries of scientific knowledge were lost? The Antikythera mechanism is a ghost of a forgotten world, a single, miraculous gear from a machine of knowledge lost to the tides of history. It proves our ancestors were not as primitive as we believe, and forces us to ask, what other impossible technologies still lie buried? Egypt's electric secret. Deep beneath the temple of Hathor at Dendera, down a narrow flight of stairs, lies a hidden crypt. On the walls of this subterranean chamber, bizarre carvings have puzzled researchers for over a century. Mainstream Egyptologists see a mythological scene. But to an engineer, it looks like something else entirely. A detailed schematic for a giant, ancient source of light. The central image is unmistakable. A large, transparent, bulb-shaped object is held aloft. Inside, a long, wavy snake stretches from end to end. The bulb's base rests in a lotus blossom, which is connected to a thick, braided line that looks exactly like a modern cable. This cable runs to a square box, where a figure kneels, seemingly operating the device. The official explanation is pure mythology, the birth of a god. But this interpretation fails to answer a critical question. How did the ancient Egyptians illuminate the inner chambers of their tombs? Many of these chambers are deep underground, far from natural light. Yet their walls are covered in intricate paintings, with no trace of soot or smoke residue from torches. The theory of using mirrors to reflect sunlight is highly impractical in long, winding corridors. This is where the impossible theory of the Dendera light comes in. Proponents suggest the carving depicts a large-scale cathode ray tube or arc light. In this model, the bulb is a glass tube, the snake is the plasma discharge, the lotus flower is the socket, and the jade pillar is a high-voltage insulator. The power source, perhaps a generator, or a battery like the one discovered in nearby Baghdad. The idea of electricity in ancient Egypt is considered heresy by mainstream historians. the knowledge is buried, both literally in this hidden chamber and academically by a consensus that refuses to entertain it. Yet the carvings remain, a silent testament to a puzzle. Are they a beautiful myth, or are they a blueprint for a forgotten form of illumination? If they did possess such a technology, it suggests a level of scientific understanding completely erased from our history, leaving us to wonder what other secrets the ancient sands are still hiding. The propeller of a forgotten age. When the tomb of an Egyptian prince named Sabu was excavated in 1936, archaeologists found the usual assortment of pottery and tools. But near the owner's remains was one object so strange, so technologically out of place, that nearly a century later, no one can confidently explain what it is. Discovered by British Egyptologist Walter Bryan Emery, the artifact is known as the Disc of Sabu. Carved from a dark, brittle stone called metasiltstone, it is a masterpiece of craftsmanship. The disc measures just over 2 feet in diameter and has a small central hub. From this hub, 3 impossibly thin, curved lobes arc outwards before folding back towards the center, creating a shape that is both elegant and deeply puzzling. The skill required to fashion such a delicate, three-dimensional object from a single piece of fragile rock 5,000 years ago is simply astounding. But it is the design, not just the craftsmanship, that makes the disc an enduring mystery. Its official label in the Cairo Museum is a ceremonial vessel, but these explanations fall apart under scrutiny. It's not a bowl, it's not a stand. So what is it? From a mechanical engineering perspective, the Disc of Sabu takes on a new identity. Its shape is strikingly similar to a modern propeller, a turbine blade, or an impeller. It is a design that screams of function, of being one moving part in a much larger machine. But if that is true, it raises an even bigger question. What machine? The First Dynasty of Egypt is known for its advances in stonework, not complex machinery. No other evidence of engines or turbines from this era has ever been found. The disc is a complete anomaly, an orphan component from a technology that has been utterly erased from the historical record. Its very existence is a paradox. It sits in a museum, hidden in plain sight, its true purpose buried under a mundane and unsatisfying label. The Disc of Sabu remains a silent, exquisite, and baffling masterpiece. Is it a ceremonial object of incomprehensible design, or a ghost component from a 5,000-year-old machine we can only dream of? Impossible machines on the ground are one thing, but the evidence suggests that ancient man didn't stop there. The next set of discoveries implies our ancestors also conquered the skies, with a knowledge of aerodynamics we thought was a modern invention. The tomb's silent glider. It sat in a storage box labeled Wooden Bird Figurine in the Cairo Museum for nearly 70 years. Discovered in a tomb in Saqqara in 1898, the small object was dismissed as a simple child's toy. That is, until a doctor with a passion for aviation realized it wasn't a bird at all, it was a perfectly designed glider. The artifact, now known as the Saqqara bird, was found in a final resting place from around 200 BC. At first glance, its classification as a bird seems reasonable. It's carved from light sycamore wood, with a 7-inch wingspan. But a closer look reveals features that defy this simple explanation and point towards a sophisticated understanding of aerodynamics. Its design is less about art and more about engineering. Unlike typical Egyptian bird carvings, the object has no legs and lacks intricate painted details. Its wings are not flat. They have a distinct airfoil shape, curved on top and flat on the bottom, a crucial principle for generating lift. Most telling, however, is the tail. Instead of the fan tail of a real bird, the artifact has a tall, vertical fin, exactly like the rudder of an airplane. Its form is all function. In the 1970s, researchers built several replicas. On its own, the model was unstable. But when they added a horizontal tailplane, as suggested by a notch on the original, the results were astonishing. The replicas became perfectly balanced, effective gliders. This small wooden object proved that someone, 2,200 years ago, understood the core principles of flight. Yet this knowledge was buried, both literally in a forgotten tomb and academically in a museum storage box. Even today, the official narrative is that it is simply a toy. But is it? If it is a scale model, we are left to wonder what the full-sized version looked like, soaring silently over the sands of a forgotten age. The gods' chariots of fire, ancient Sanskrit texts, are filled with epic poems and profound spiritual philosophy. But within these pages are passages that read less like mythology and more like technical manuals, describing flying machines of incredible power and sophistication. These machines, known as Vimanas, challenge our perception of the ancient world. In Indian epics like the Ramayana, the gods soar through the heavens in celestial chariots, often described as flying palaces capable of interstellar travel. For centuries, these accounts have been interpreted as beautiful metaphors. But another, far more controversial text, the Vaimanika Shastra, presents a different picture. It claims to be a guide to the science of aeronautics, outlining the construction and operation of the Vimanas in stunning detail. The text describes various flying machines built from specific metal alloys. It details their propulsion systems, most famously the Mercury Vortex engine, a device that supposedly used heated, spinning mercury to generate a powerful gyroscopic force. The manuscript lists 32 secrets a Vimana pilot must master, including the ability to make the craft invisible, to create terrifying illusions, and even to listen to conversations inside enemy craft from afar. The epic poems go further, describing awesome power these Vimanas could unleash. They speak of advanced weaponry launched from the sky, capable of leveling entire cities and laying waste to armies. One such weapon, the Brahmastra, is said to produce a light brighter than 1,000 suns and a heat that would scorch the land, leaving it barren for generations. These descriptions paint a haunting picture of a forgotten age of high-tech warfare. Of course, this knowledge is buried under layers of academic skepticism. Mainstream historians dismiss the Vaimanika Shastra as a fabrication and relegate the epic accounts to pure fantasy. The technology of the Vimanas, if it ever existed, has been lost, preserved only in sacred texts that we no longer interpret as literal truth. Are they merely the product of a vibrant poetic imagination, or are they the fading memory of a lost technological age, a science so advanced it has become indistinguishable from magic? Mastering the skies is one thing, but what about mastering the entire planet? The next discoveries suggest a lost civilization that didn't just fly over the land, but charted it with an impossible accuracy and built vast industrial works within it. The map that knew too much. In 1929, a dusty old map drawn on gazelle skin was rediscovered in the archives of Turkey's Topkapi Palace. Dated to 1513, it showed the world with an impressive accuracy. But it was what the map showed at the very bottom of the earth, a continent that shouldn't have been there at all, that made it a forbidden piece of history. The map was the work of Piri Reis, a celebrated Ottoman admiral and cartographer. What survives today is only a fragment of a larger world map, but even this piece is astonishing. It depicts the coastlines of Western Europe, North Africa, and South America with a precision that rivals modern charts. The most fascinating detail, however, is what Piri Reis wrote on it. He explained that he had compiled his work from about 20 different source maps, some dating as far back as the 4th century BC. The true impossibility lies at the very bottom of the parchment. There, a landmass is shown connected to the southern tip of South America. For decades, this was dismissed as a cartographical error. But in the 1960s, historian Charles Hapgood proposed a shocking alternative. He argued that the coastline shown was a stunningly accurate depiction of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica before it was covered by its current, miles-thick ice cap. This proposition is scientifically staggering. Antarctica was not officially discovered until 300 years after Piri Reis drew his map. Its subglacial topography was only charted in the 20th century using modern radar technology. The implication is that someone, thousands of years ago, possessed the technology to accurately survey and map an entire continent before it was frozen over. This knowledge is now buried. The source maps are lost to history, and the theory of an ice-free Antarctic survey is dismissed by mainstream science. The map forces us to question not just who we are, but how much of our own history has been deliberately forgotten or simply washed away. The mountain's iron veins. In the barren landscape of China's Qinghai province, a strange, pyramid-shaped mountain stands near the city of Delingha. At its base, local legends spoke of mysterious caves, but what was discovered there in the late 1990s was far stranger. A complex network of ancient, rusted iron pipes, some plunging deep into the mountain's heart. The site is a scene of profound desolation. The largest cave contains dozens of hollow, reddish-brown pipes, ranging in diameter from a mere straw to over 1.5 feet. The layout seems deliberate, organized, as if part of a massive plumbing or ventilation system. More pipes were found on the shores of nearby Lake Tosen, suggesting a network that once connected the mountain to the lake. Initial excitement over the discovery was immense. Analysis showed the pipes were made mostly of iron oxide, with about 8% of the material being unidentifiable. The most shocking result came from dating tests on the surrounding rock, which estimated the material to be around 150,000 years old. The finding created an impossible paradox. The idea of anyone smelting iron and constructing a massive industrial-scale pipe system 150,000 years ago challenges everything we know about human history. Soon after, the official story began to change. Scientists proposed a natural explanation, the fossilization of ancient trees. As this explanation gained traction, the site, which was briefly a tourist attraction, became less accessible. The incredible discovery was effectively buried under a new label, a geological anomaly. Are they a unique but natural geological wonder, or are they the corroded ruins of a vast, ancient plumbing system, the last remnant of a civilization so old? Its existence has been conveniently rewritten as a trick of nature. The rustless pillar of a lost science. In the heart of Delhi, India, surrounded by the ruins of an ancient mosque, stands a 23-foot-tall iron pillar that has baffled scientists for centuries. For over 1,600 years, it has stood exposed to harsh monsoon rains and scorching sun day, yet for reasons that defy ancient metallurgy, it refuses to rust. The pillar is a testament to the extraordinary skill of ancient Indian blacksmiths. Weighing more than 6 tons, it was forged around the year 400 AD during the Gupta Empire. Its construction is remarkable. Metallurgists believe it was created by forge welding countless pieces of iron into one colossal, seamless column. But its size and age are not what make it a scientific marvel. Its true secret lies in its composition. For centuries, its resistance to corrosion was a complete mystery. Modern analysis in the 20th century, however, finally revealed the lost science behind its longevity. The pillar is forged from iron of exceptionally high purity, about 99.72%. But the key to its resilience is a crucial impurity intentionally left behind: phosphorus. Over the centuries, this phosphorus has reacted with the elements to form a microscopic, invisible film on the pillar's surface. This passive protective layer is incredibly stable and dense, acting as a perfect barrier that shields the iron beneath from the elements. This was not a lucky accident. It was the result of a highly advanced and now forgotten metallurgical science. The ancient Indian craftsmen had perfected a technique that we have only recently come to understand. The knowledge was a master craft, lost to time. The pillar is the last monumental testament to this forgotten genius. It is a technology that wasn't buried in a tomb, but was left standing in plain sight, its secret hidden within its very molecules. From a computer built before the birth of Christ, to a spark plug sealed in 500,000-year-old rock, to a pillar that defies the laws of chemistry, these aren't just artifacts. They are a challenge to our entire timeline. They ask the one question science is afraid to answer. Are we the first? The evidence buried beneath our feet seems to be screaming the answer. The only question is whether we're brave enough to listen. Let us know in the comments which of these impossible technologies shatters your reality the most. If you believe history is hiding more secrets than we're being told, subscribe and ring the notification bell because we're just getting started. Let us know in the comments which artifact you believe is undeniable proof of a lost advanced civilization.